Welcome. Today is September 1st, and I know what you may be wondering. What the heck is going on? So you want to know what's going on, and you know what? Congratulations, you've come to the right place. This is what astrology is all about. Give yourself some solid pats on the back, and while you're at it, hit subscribe, thumbs up, stick around. It'd be great to have you. This is real stuff. If someone asked me a couple years ago and said, hey, Timothy, look at this astrology. Do you think that this could possibly correlate with a massive global reset and a shutdown nearly from the ground up? I would go, yep, that's totally a very real possibility looking at this astrology. So I'm going to give you timelines so that way you can get an understanding of what's going on, not only on the surface, what we're experiencing, but why. Why are we going through this? What's on the other end of this? Astrology goes all the way down to understanding every single part of our life and experience to a depth that would otherwise be impossible. That is what astrology is. And you can go to rosalilacommunity.com and learn how to read straight from the source code yourself. That means God direct. Not me, the messenger, putting it in your pocket. You can get God direct. And as far as I know, astrology is the truest thing that there is. You do not need to become a professional astrologer to get a few lessons from my school that will be absolutely life-changing. And say you're a parent and you have kids, might it be useful to know who that kid is and what their life's going to be about and the skills they have and the challenges and where it is their soul wants to go to? I don't know. I think that might be some rather useful information. So the reason why this is important astrology, which we'll get to, is September is eclipse season. Eclipses is the astrology that everyone suddenly remembers astrology is real, and I'll explain why until we forget for another 6 months. Then we'll have another set of eclipses. So eclipses are some of the most regular, predictable cycles that we experience. It is simply when the sun and moon conjoin the moon's orbit in a full or a new moon. And September 7th is a partial lunar eclipse that will be followed by a partial solar eclipse September 22nd. That second Virgo south nodal eclipse at the end of September is what's going to set the tone for the next 6 months to come. And if you have planets in the latter degrees of the mutable signs, you certainly want to pay attention to them because they're going to get a lot of attention. I'll explain my own personal version of this, for example. Because this particular eclipse end of September is going to exactly T-square my 12th house sun. Now, many of you have noticed the dissolving of infrastructure, bureaucracy, governmental jobs dissolving. Why? Because Saturn and Neptune are like this far apart throughout the whole year of 2025, but Saturn does not pass Neptune, even though he's the far more faster moving planet closer to the sun. So they're doing this dance together. It's absolutely wild astrology. And where are they doing this dance together? Wouldn't you know it? On the Aries point. That's the very end / beginning of the whole zodiac. This is the reset button. This is the Christ point. Now earlier, fall time, Saturn and Neptune pushed into Aries. We got a taste of Aries this summertime. Now, Saturn's going back into Pisces today, September 1st, to be followed by Neptune. All right. Now, Saturn will station direct in Pisces end of this year, November, move back into Aries, February 13th. Okay, so winter time, northern hemisphere this year, we've got this wrapping up of Pisces Neptune. And before Neptune leaves his own sign for the very last time in our whole lifetime, this very much has a going back and tying up loose ends theme. And the fact that the solar eclipse at the end of September is a south nodal eclipse in Virgo also indicates this necessary digestion and reflection on the past. Virgo in particular brings us awareness to what's not working, or what's broken, or what's wrong, like what could very well be my technical setup here as I try to improve things, which is what Virgo's orientation is all about. People love to pick on Virgo. Oh, you're so, Virgo wants to help you. Virgo wants to improve things. And that said, Virgo can sometimes be considerably humbling. I dare say the human experience is considerably humbling. We would love to be responsible for everything going on in creation. If we thought the right thoughts, we could manifest this or that. But as the transiting North Node goes through Pisces, where we will have our full moon this forthcoming weekend, the 7th, we're confronted with a different reality. And that reality is that not everything is in our hands. Where the transiting moon's North Node is, at any point in time, is what the collective is learning, is evolving towards, and probably not having it served on a silver platter. Probably challenged. So it could easily be the challenge of Pisces start at 2025, a spiritual crisis, an existential crisis. This doesn't make sense. This is not what I planned. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I've been praying for. Who are you, God? What is God? Who am I? What's the relationship? What are we supposed to be doing here? Have we really not learned from our past? Is there really a need to go in a direction that seems totally contrary to progress, and yet to others, our idea of progress seems totally conservative and counter-progressive to them? I mean, this is revealing the human condition. And I predicted this with Pluto's entrance in Aquarius, and boy, is it showing its face now, is it not? What it is revealing, especially trying to Uranus, ruling Pluto, and now trying to Pluto, it's the time to understand what a human being is. Do we know what a human being is right now? The answer is no. We have all of these new labels, all of these new isms, all of these new pathologies of which we have zero understanding whatsoever. When I got into the game, it was high feminist, new age, men are the scum of the earth, and you just reversed the roles. And it created this whole new wave of feminine narcissists. Spirituality is not about us creating cults so that way we get to live in utopia. Spirituality is oriented towards where do people need help? Where are people lacking food? Where are people lacking resources? One of my favorite quotes from Neem Karoli Baba. It's Ram Dass's guru. He asks, or someone else asks, how do I raise my kundalini? Like the American question, like Americans love kundalini. I want to get enlightened now. How do I get enlightened now? I read in a cereal box, my mom's a witch. And so she told me, and it's like, Maharaji simply says, feed people, clothe people. That's how you're going to raise your kundalini. No more of this pretending ourselves to heaven. No more of us, making excuses as to why we're not actually doing anything in the 3D because we're so busy spun out in a delusion. This full moon can illuminate just that, as much as it can be profoundly spiritual, romantic, and fulfilling. It's going to be a different experience for every person on Earth. These days, weeks, months. It's going to be an incredible rest of the year to see this, because I'm expecting a lot of role reversal. I'm expecting a lot of shifting. I'm expecting, apologies that are too late because we've had to move on. And all I got to say is the kind of ultimate mantra of Pisces is forgive them, they know not what they do. As we're learning about human psychology, now in a point of time that I would describe as psychological crises, which you can clearly see in the States, we need to be forgiving of ourselves, for we know not what we do. We're crazy. We don't know what's going on. Psychology was pioneered a century ago. Okay. Pluto is correlated with psychology, the underworld, the unconscious. It was discovered at the same time Carl Jung was pioneering it. What a coincidence. Not even half of an orbit since its discovery have we known about psychology even existing. Trauma, the word trauma, was only invented after World War I to describe this phenomenon. We didn't understand why these soldiers were shaking and could no longer sleep or function or anything. Oh, okay, that's what trauma is. I'm going to let you all know something. We're all fish in water to see PTSD. We have all experienced so much trauma from the first breath we took to getting snipped out of our mother's belly, to being shaken, to being conditioned in school, to be yelled at by teachers. I mean, this is a military society. From day one, this is a prison world. Since day one, do you want to comply with this? Do you really want to follow in line with this? Do you really want to follow these orders? Here's the perfect way to be a slave. And being a slave, you know, it's just really worth it. The work, the value is in the effort, right? And I would say the value is in the effort in evolutionary work. That means your soul evolving, becoming more powerful, and stepping into your greater potential. That's what we offer and hold for through Rasa Lila healing. And this particular video is my Jupiter return in Cancer, which happens to be on his own planetary north node. And what that means is that this Jupiter in Cancer is actually holding for the medicine the entire collective needs at this time. If you've heard me, you know I refer to the zodiac sign of Cancer as the most missing and needed medicine on the planet at this time. We're fish in water to see PTSD. We do not know what Cancer safety is. And to give an example of this, many tens of thousands of years ago, there was speculated to be a time period known as the matriarchy. And there's all these Venus of Willendorf spread all around the world. Why? The women were the creatrix. They produced children via their power. Who else produces children but women? Women were regarded as gods, and children were raised communally. Communally. Can we think of how much safety we must have felt in that day and age where literally every other human being is our brother or sister? And sure, I bet there were warring tribes and all that, but I think you understand what I mean. In a world of growing xenophobia, growing racism, growing tension between even me and my neighbor, because what is going to happen? I don't know. Are we going to have to fight and kill each other? The way the states is going, leaving it all up to us to fix everything from the ground up while the people at top via their pathology because they're fucking insane. People don't have empathy for that too. If you give somebody too much money or power, they're cooked. It shouldn't be allowed. It's psychologically brain damage to them and they don't know that, so they cling on to their own brain damage. And it's really sad because as a result, what happens? The whole world suffers. The whole world could very well become a sinking ship because of that billionaire pathology. But let us not focus on them. They're probably not watching this. Let's understand what's going on big time. All right? So the meltdown, astrologically, I'll visualize it here. Saturn and Neptune coming so close together. What is Neptune? The great dissolver. Neptune is literally the be-all, end-all. Neptune is in the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna reveals himself to Arjuna in his true form that no human being can possibly see without freaking out because it's the most terrifying thing you could possibly witness. And what Arjuna witnesses is Krishna's flaming mouths going on infinitely in all direction and all things running into his mouth. For those of you who saw Oppenheimer, he was quoting the Gita. Death I am time, I am the destroyer of all worlds. That's God. That's Krishna. Yay! Is that New Age God? Is that we're already there? Is that the world's going to ascend and we're all going to go into a big party and throw honey at one another? I don't know. But what we want to know is that Jupiter on his own north node now is to bring heaping spoonfuls of this most missing and needed medicine first to ourselves until we're overflowing and can provide it to others. What we're talking about here is safe space. And let me emulate that for you here because it's not talked about enough. And yes, my journey to the inner child, it's a hypnosis MP3. It's very relaxing. You can't listen to it in the car, but go to bed and listen to it. It's helpful. It's relaxing. It's all about this medicine of feeling safe, to feel whatever you're feeling in the moment you feel it. Whether you're crying and you can't get out of bed, whether you're so excited you're bouncing off the walls, whether you're so angry you're shaking and cursing out God, it is okay. It's okay. You can be a human being. And no matter what you're feeling in the moment that you feel, you will always be my child and I will always be your mother. So come here, I embrace you as you are. And as we are embracing our own inner child, there very well could be whole stories, whole missing limbs, whole traumatic experiences. Because what happens when you finally create safe space, which is like in an ocean of desert, there's a few puddles out there of safe space. When you finally get to safe space is when you begin to process emotions. So if you're having scary emotions, remember that you would not be having those scary emotions if you were not already in a safe space. What I mean by that is if you open the fridge and a fly comes out, or the wallet fly comes out, or a saber-toothed tiger is chasing you, we're not feeling sad. We're not having an emotional experience. We go into fight or flight. And when we get into a safe space, that is when we have the opportunity to now reintegrate the rest of our consciousness that we separated from in the traumatic experience because it was too much for us to process in that moment in time. So we create safe space and we can actually start remembering whole forgotten memories, whole missing limbs. The whole story and identity as to who we are. Cancer could be extremely misleading due to the lack of emotional support, the lack of healthy mirroring, and I dare say the lack of frickin' care by our own family and our own parents. Jeffrey Green's parents were extremely abusive, tried to kill him. He left home and never went back. And his teaching with that is he never went back because if he did, he would be creating more karma with them. And what he said is he chose his parents just to check off karma. Whoo, glad I survived that. Okay, time to live my own life. It's really noticeable. That's something I've really been paying attention to, the difference between people who have, support from the family. I think that's the most important thing in the world. It's the most missing need in medicine. While I'm waking up Jupiter return, age 35, I was the scapegoat of my family, then I was the scapegoat in my first partnership, and I have only been used, projected upon, betrayed like a fucking Kleenex, paper towel, or a piece of toilet roll paper. And again, this video is dedicated to the growing trend of female narcissists that would rather flush actual astrology down the toilet so they can make an extra buck. And so that way they can get a little bit more fame while they're parading around the divine feminine and actually embodying and teaching the antithesis of it. May the Divine Mother have compassion on your souls. More astrology is we've got Venus forming a square to asteroid Pallas Athena. That's the goddess of wisdom. I'm sorry, that's an opposition at the start of September. This can create a kind of reverberation between our need to create. We've got brilliant realizations going on. My God, it's the Sun and Mercury's inferior conjunction on the 13th, 21 degrees Virgo, and Mercury rules the South Node in Virgo now. Insight, clarity, inner alignment. Can be finding our soul's purpose these days. This is when ideas can crystallize. Mercury and the Sun together in their inferior conjunction. So while that's happening with asteroid Pallas Athena opposite to Venus, there can be this back and forth between the need to take care of others. I want to help others in the world. My God, are people suffering? My God, are people suffering? That's going to be when we talk about this eclipse and start to get straight to it, which I have not yet. By the way, 20 minutes in, this is deep, big stuff. There's going to be future video too. Okay, so Mercury rules the South Node in Virgo. All right, so this is going to really bring us into what? Service, which I would say is our purpose. When we find our purpose, our service, it's not really so much a choice. It was the cards we had dealt to us. It was what we were born into. It was the childhood that we survived. It was the traumatic experiences we've already lived. That shapes our consciousness. That doesn't mean we have to do a round of applause to the person who traumatized us. The forgiveness isn't for them. It's for us to embrace how that created us in a certain way. That's true. That's the real deep EA, is that the traumas, the samskaras actually form our consciousness, and then we can actually develop kind of powers. Not that I'm not saying go traumatize yourself looking for powers. This is over many lifetimes of occurrence is what we're talking about here. All right. So Mercury and Sun, this is more outward. Well, all the other astrologers are going to be talking about these planets turning retrograde. You know, it's not that straightforward. It's an inner, outer. There's stuff we got to roll back in and honor our boundaries because we're exhausted. I don't have enough energy to take care of other people. But man, we got to build this. This is going to be the new community hub. It's going to help so many artists and farmers and all the things we're going to need, because we're going to need brilliant people. That's been the scary part recently this year, has it not? It's like, where are the brilliant people? Where are the role models? I forget his name, the WikiLeaks dude. He was in prison for a while. He said one of the things he realized in prison is that there are far less courageous souls than there are intelligent ones. I thought that was a really good point. Because you've got to be both if you really want to make it. This is an Einstein quote. It takes courage to be a genius. It takes courage to be a genius. And we got to find the other geniuses who know what they're doing, who know how to handle times that aren't all the American dream, walking a baby trolley down the local mall to buy the pink living room style. It's just like superficial crap. Let's get back to what it actually means to be a human, which means learning to create on one hand, and then learning to be receptive on the other hand. Okay. So let me conclude by explaining this polarity between the moon's nodes, because polarity is everything. You could actually join my community. There is a workshop titled the Polarity Workshop. It's not even 12 signs. It's 6 polarities. If you can understand these 6 polarities, you will understand all phenomena that occurs on Earth. Every single thing that has a soul, which includes animals. So the moon's south node is the past. The fact that the solar eclipse at the end of September is creating a 6-month cycle means what? We're going back and remembering Virgo times, which can be what? A bit feudal, like, medieval age, and like really, really rolling back to what it means to be a humble little human being. And it's likely we're going to get this type of feedback. People are going to be cranky. People are going to be nitpicking. And we're going to want to be doing this. I don't even want to do this video right now. But I'm going to anyways. Because God damn it, we need a comedic break every now and then, do we not? We all need each other. And that's the beauty of this lunar eclipse on the 7th in Pisces, is this can be really magical. This is like coincidences all aligning, and wow, there's no joke. No one could make this shit up. Of course, we're all interconnected. And let's actually start evolving, because Virgo is finding our service and our role to help other humans, which ultimately bestows to us the greatest satisfaction. And again, we all are dealt certain cards. We all have certain traumas that shapes us into that role or service. It's not going to be something that seems like work to us. It's going to be something that we do naturally and spontaneously, and we love to do it, and it is what we were made to be and do. We're finding our function, Virgo. And we may have to clear out a bunch of crap to find it. We may have to make a bunch of attempts to find it. We may have to throw 1,000,000 arrows at the frickin', target. And we need to be so graceful, so flexible, so easy on ourselves. It has never been more important than these eclipses. Because Virgo, you do not get it perfect. And Pisces, you do not get it perfect, because guess what? Perfect is an ideal. And as far as what exists, there's no such thing as perfection. I dare say God isn't perfect. But you know what? I know that can be triggering, so save that for later, because we might have to forgive God. We might have to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive the whole thing, But perfection, do not cat o' nine tails yourself the way the flagellants did 1,000 years ago because you have original sin and you're born a human and you feel bad and you need to have this masochistic pain complex and hurt yourself or choose the lowest rung on the ladder or keep on taking charity cases until you're totally drained and exhausted. That doesn't work. Virgo wants to help other people, but also know that it is small, which is where the quote, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to go to heaven." What is he talking about? I'm talking Jesus. I'm talking Yeshua. And guess what? Evolutionary astrology is totally coincidental with everything that Christ Jesus, Yeshua said, because he was the embodiment of Pisces. He's the embodiment of Neptune. You can't make the shit up. It's nothing to do with culture or preference. It's the essence and what's being said and what's being held, which is unconditional love. Love thy neighbor. And if you see someone struggling at the side of the road, help them. No more of this fake bullshit to steal, to manipulate. Even the whitewashed Jesus, like, "Hello, my children." And of course, I could make a good Jesus because I'm white. As if he was calm all the time. I'm pretty sure there was a Jesus event where he threw the tax collectors out of the temple. If I recall correctly, there's a scene where Jesus kicks all the tax collectors out of the temple. And he's quite angry about it. He's quite pissed as he does it, without a slight doubt. I also mentioned the Bhagavad Gita, which begins with Arjuna and his best friend Krishna on the battlefield. And Arjuna says, "I don't want to fight. I've got family on the other side. I don't want to fight them. I don't want to kill them." And you know what Krishna's response is? "You're here. You're here. We are born in Kali Yuga. We are born on the battlefield. And that is why Krishna says you must fight. If you're not fighting, you're running away and you're abandoning, and it's therefore a loss for everybody, including yourself." And then there's a right way to do that, right? When I say fight, it doesn't necessarily mean punch someone in the face, right? It's stepping up on a soapbox for what it is that you're passionate about. You could be an artist. You could be a puppeteer. You could be an animator. That could be your sword. That could be your weapon. And I'm not exaggerating, because to me, in our culture, one of the most powerful weapons that there is stand-up comedy. That's a tough job. That's a tough job, to be funny and be pressing on the furthest limits of what we consider taboo. So to expand our consciousness by allowing us to take a step into something that's uncomfortable, but then making it okay by bringing the light of humor there. That's high magic. That's Gemini. That's some of the best what our culture and human being can do. So do not fret, my species, despite our imperfections, despite that we may throw a million arrows at the target and 99% of them misses. It's not failure, it's feedback. And the value is in the effort, and once we get that target, it's just one little baby step at a time. One little baby step at a time. This thing's going to unfold. And are we going to be able to force it open like we can force open the springtime flowers? What's going to happen? Those flowers are going to fall apart. This is a process. This entire year, the moon's north node is in Pisces. Again, if you need to learn any astrology, just track the transiting moon's nodes through the zodiac. It's an 18-and-a-half-year cycle. It's going to explain where eclipses happen all of those years, when eclipses is some of the most important astrology that happens, which is why suddenly everyone remembers that it's real when eclipses take place. But I'll let you know, you don't have to believe in astrology for astrology to work for you. In fact, astrology doesn't need to make contact with anybody so to be what they are, which is why astrologers love to study historic chart examples, even going back thousands of years, even speculating upon the birth chart of Jesus Christ. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. But let this be the opportunity to refine. Not beat ourselves up for having some dust that needs to be cleaned up. That's part of the joy. We whistle while we work. And while we pull out the weeds, we whistle while we work. And while we hoe the garden and turn over the earth and make it fertile for a whole new world to be created, we whistle while we work. And that is where what may seem like a curse can suddenly unfold into a hidden blessing. And I think this will be much the case this year. Now, I keep saying timeline, so 2026 is when Saturn finally passes Neptune. They're both literally doing this over the Aries point, 2025. So this is the Aries point, my beautiful nose. Saturn and Neptune go from Pisces, Aries. Now they're going back into Pisces, in fall into winter. And then they're going to go back into Aries once more. February 2026. The meltdown is occurring all of 2025. And with this particular solar eclipse being in Virgo, it can be quite humbling. It may trigger, it may take us back. We may have to remember certain things. Trauma will create suppressed memories, but when we integrate those suppressed memories, what do we become? More powerful, more capable. So allow this process to refine you into the spiritual warrior. Where now Pisces is not trying to rip it open, the springtime flowers. We honor each flower for its own process, its own pace, its own rate. Some have different fertilizers. Some need full sun, some need full shade. But ultimately, we allow for that unfolding in whatever way is natural for that person, place, circumstance, or thing. That's when we start to dance into the Rasa Leela. That's when we start to twirl. That's when we start to tune into the divine orchestra. And before we know it, musical symphonies and plays and beautiful portrayals of our own life's journey of getting dragged all the way down to hell, shredded to pieces, only to resurrect ourselves again. Have you ever heard of that idea? Have you ever heard of that story? It's a very old story. It actually goes back to the origins of humanity itself, prehistoric times. You can see etched on the walls scorpions and ladies dancing together. Why? Life and death, life and death, life and death. Embrace this eclipse cycle to be an incredibly profound snake skin shedding. Everything that needs to go is gonna go. Everything that needs to go is gone. And what we need, I'm calling that in. Call it in, call it in. And for those of you who call into here, RasaLeelaCommunity.com. I'm creating these means for those of like mind to approach and gain the support that would otherwise be impossible to gain. I can't pull magic rabbits out of hats. I wish I could give to everybody what they needed. What we can do is validate what we're experiencing and why, down to the hair sliver, by understanding that this life is about our soul's evolution. It's not necessarily about having it perfect, creating heaven on earth. That is the goal. That's what it originally was. But we're learning something about all of these cycles upon what takes place on this earth. To me, this is heaven. This land is the chosen land. This is the kingdom of God. And there are people that own this land, who have owned this land for generations, back into the day where they also owned slaves. Do we really think that was that long ago? We sent people to the moon while Jim Crow laws were still fully enacted. This is a south nodal Virgo eclipse. That means going backwards. That means reflecting on the past. Now, if we can do this consciously, we're evolving forwards through a necessary reflection on the past. But if we want to be really regressive and go back to a medieval era, this would at least be the time where it feels like it. And allow yourself to interpret and read those feelings in enough of a way to know who you are, to know what you're passionate about. Because sometimes we're going to be called to do the work that only we can do, right? So it's like, okay, if we're going in this direction, we're going to make some adjustments here and there and here and there. So that way the water, the sustenance, the food, the resources, the technology is actually going into the right hands. Because all of the right people are here. All of the right resources are here. All of the people with the capabilities and the skills is right here. So we don't have to be everything. Virgo is about honing in on the one thing. Another Ram Dass quote. How to get enlightened? Knitting. This could be your path to enlightenment. Japa beads. It's my favorite. Planting plants. Going into nature. Collecting the mushrooms. This will keep us grounded. This will keep ourself anchored, ourself sane, so we can make rational decisions. Good choices. That's going to spread from ourself, because first, it's like what they say on the airplane when the oxygen masks come down from the ceiling. You put that on your mask. You put that mask on your face first, even before you put it on your own child's face. Once you're feeling great with that flow of oxygen on your mask, then we go out there and we start disseminating that oxygen, that wisdom, that provision wherever we can because this is what it means to be a human being. We are all artists. We are all pioneers. We are all Johnny Appleseeds. And you know what? Johnny Appleseed loved sharing apple seeds. No one made him do it. It was him. It was the cards he had dealt. It was what he was passionate about, and he loved it. So may you discover your own inner Johnny Appleseed. Embrace it, celebrate it, and once you're feeling good, start putting those apple seeds everywhere. I look forward to seeing them. And again, there's going to be a lot going on next month. This is a take 2 video, so I may have caught something. I may have missed something. So I need to also mention September 13th. We are having an event where some of the students of Jeffrey Wolf Green who knew him in person are sharing their personal accounts of him. So this isn't going to be astrology. This is going to be Jeffrey Wolf Green, honoring the man, honoring the soul, honoring everything that he has done. The 13th. It's free to attend. Please register using the link below. You need to have a ticket to attend. All right. I hope to see you there. The following weekend, we'll have our Q&A at rosalilacommunity.com. So if I don't see you at the EA event, I hope to see you at the Q&A. My email is contact@rosalilhealing.com. I'm wishing the very best for you and your beloveds. And as always, do take care.